Which California political figure, past or present, actually earned your respect?
Pat Brown.
Hiram Johnson.
Richard Reardon.
Pat Brown.
I'm going to say John Muir.
Pete Wilson.
Ronald Reagan.
Governor Brown.
Ronald Reagan.
Scott Wiener.
George Deukmejian.
Ronald Reagan.
Governor Wilson.
Ronald Reagan.
President Reagan.
Governor Wilson and Governor Brown.
Ronald Reagan.
I'm going to put out Richard Reardon. He was a Republican. He was a businessman. He was savvy. Great sense of humor. He worked across the aisle.
You know, I thought about that one, and I'm going to say John Muir. I think John Muir would be turning in his grave if he could see how out of common sense we've gone.
Oh, I would put Pete Wilson high on that list. But there's nobody that I saw through politics that worked harder and understood the process and was willing to, cut a deal when he had to, but also stand tough when he needed to.
I would say past, Governor Brown ended up to be a very pragmatic, balanced environment and economy, square on as a governor. And he knew how to lead in both of those spaces.
Well, gotta say Scott Wiener, because he's been doing it the longest. He's a politician that really believes in something.
George Deukmejian. So Governor George Deukmejian in the 80s, he was from Long Beach, state senator, was attorney general. And I think George Deukmejian was a type of politician that we desperately need again.
There's many, but if you look at someone who's had to deal with deficits in the past, who's focused on education, which is so important for our future, Governor Wilson.
Yep.
It's really hard to not put Ronald Reagan in that category. But Ronald Reagan, when I go back and you just look at the things he said and the speeches he made, how could you not be moved by some of his government philosophies? Again, maybe you don't agree with everything that he said, right? But it's pretty influential and pretty amazing to think that he came from this state, and by the way, came from Hollywood and went all the way up to be president of the U.S. That's pretty crazy.
I would say Hiram Johnson, who ushered in the era of voter participation, the ballot initiative, the referendum, and other reforms that were designed to curb the power of special interests and bring people into the process. We're overdue for an update.
Ronald Reagan, absolutely. I adore Ronald Reagan, and I try to aspire to take his style of politics, which is bringing people in, meeting people where they are, and just trying to unite people.
Ronald Reagan.
I think that one makes it a little bit easy on that one, because what I loved most is that he understood that compassion and care of the people actually is first when you're in this political world. And I think a lot of Republicans has failed on that. We talked about a lot of the policy, but it's just like in a business transaction. Nobody wants to work with a guy who's a jerk. And Ronald Reagan really understood it's his job to take care of people and pass good policy. And I think he actually showed a great example of what that looks like.
So I guess I can't cheat and name two people, so I'm going to have to default to, this won't surprise you, Ronald Reagan. I've studied a lot. I wasn't around as an adult when he was the governor, but he's somebody who brought his brand of cheerful optimism along with very serious policy chops to the office of governor. And while he did some things that he probably regrets, one of which would have been the collective bargaining deal that he struck, he did so much for the state and to turn it around and lay the groundwork for a revolution for the country.
Well, Ronald Reagan is probably the leader that in California that is the model for all of us. The happy warrior, the conservative that it was out there to basically tell people, hey, it's okay to be conservative.
I think how President Reagan and even Governor Reagan, the way that he approached individuals and he brought people together, dealt with people. And I've always tried to take that same philosophy, even if you disagree with somebody, treat people with dignity, respect. I think Governor and President Reagan did that, and he brought Democrats and Republicans together. I think we need more of that in California right now.
Pat Brown was kind of the governor who produced our core infrastructure, including our social and political capital infrastructure in the UC system. I don't know that there's another governor before or since who's captured quite as much advancement on both the physical building side and the amplification benefits of the physical construction that was undertaken?
Actually, my answer for that is two people, Governor Wilson and Governor Brown, and I'll tell you why. Both of those gentlemen could make the trains run on time. What I really want from a governor is somebody who can make things go. But if there were fires or emergency or a fiscal problem, Governor Wilson and Governor Brown had the team and the group of people in the room to be able to make it happen, and I respect that.
Well, it's interesting. I do admire Pat Brown. Pat Brown, I think, in many ways captured the kind of ambition and swagger of California that I really aspire for us to have. You know, the amazing things we did then. Really the golden age of California in many ways, building, you know, the state water project and the UC system and the freeway, you know, just that sense of absolute ambition and possibility. So I do think Pat Brown is a pretty good candidate.
I think it's a good poll.